Hello folks, today I want to talk a little bit about my game and how the subtypes play different, right? Because like for example in other games, like for example in Magic the Gathering, you kind of have like the color pie, and that basically dictates how like the colors play. And you have a little bit of that in this game for sure, but it's not like as it's not as how can I say? It's not like a golden rule. It's just kind of there, you know. Like for example, lights does have a little bit of like. So like I think I can start by saying like what is like the color pie of my game, right? Light is like it's about healing and protecting. It's basically making like unbreakable boards and trying to heal your life points or your cards to gain advantages or to get to the point where you just double check. Okay, it's recording. Sound is coming out. Sound is coming out. Yeah, the last time I was just recording for like 1 hour and it wasn't recording. I'm like, dude, can you believe it? So light is like unbreakable boards and trying to gain advantages off of healing cards. Like there is like the healing condition in this game, so they are pretty much the only guys who wants to get that healing condition, because they have the cards for it. Sometimes you might see cards where they're like you have to pay a high amount of life points to like get advantages, which is kind of like it's kind of like in black, where some cards have lifelink, like black in Magic the Gathering, where some cards have lifelink, but then it's because like you have a lot of effects that cost life points to activate, so you're just trying to get your life points back, right? It's kind of like that, but you do that in light instead of like doing it in, I guess, darkness would be. For water, it's mostly about control. They have like a lot of effects where you can also like control, like you can change what you're going to draw. Like you can like you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck and then you can rearrange the card. You can also kind of do that for your opponent. Like you can like mess up his draws too. A lot of effects to like waste your opponent's actions, like time loop. Oh, your opponent like he summons a card. Well, you can bounce that card back, so he's wasting that action, right? Also with like counters, like this spell for example, you can counter a skill card, so your opponent like will not be activating a skill card. And yeah, it's just control. It's just like wasting time. Well, wasting your opponent's time so that you can get ahead of him. And trying to get like better draws. Every deck has like good draws here, but they just try to stack the top of the deck so they can get the better possible outcome of their draws. Earth is basically like it's like they are summon spam and attack points and HP, like damage and HP increase. So you can like the idea is basically to summon very big souls onto the field that are very hard to get around, basically. Right? It's just about like big boss monsters, honestly. You summon a big monster and then you just like equip it with cards prior to summon him or whatever, and like they have like some kind of protection, so they're hard to get rid of, but they are pretty expensive too. Like, you know, 3, like this one is like 3 Earth Souls to summon. This one is also 3 souls to summon, and his attacks are like 3 auras and 4 auras. This one is 4 auras, so you're like basically wasting 7 actions to summon them. but they do have like a lot of effects that basically allows you to cheat on actions, right? So you can like play cards as aura from your hand, or you can special summon cards from your hand, so you can basically cheat cards into play and get ahead of your opponents. Fire is basically like they are like trying to beat your opponent as fast as they possibly can. So they have like destruction effects, like a lot of like soul destruction and damage, right? Effect damage. So yeah, like they're very straightforward. They kind of have like a disadvantage where their souls, like their legendary souls, are not very good. They're pretty much the worst there are. Everyone kind of has like a little bit of a disadvantage. Like for example, light has like basically no effect removal at all. Water doesn't have like a lot of like high attack points. And darkness, like their disadvantage is, I guess they just take like too much setup to make their plays. Darkness is like is graveyard play. They're all about like milling their deck, like setting up the graveyard for big plays, for big combos, discarding cards and then drawing cards back so that you can like again set up your graveyard a little bit more. And of course, reviving those cards back to life. And they're also about taking control of your opponent's board. Like they like to use the opponent's board against them, like the cards that are in play against them. So they have like a lot of cards to take control, like cards to steal your cards from your hand. A lot of like tricky effects like that. But yeah. Wind is just generic, it's just for like pretty much everyone. This is just like mixed colors. We'll talk about them later. So let's talk about like the subtypes, which is why we're here, right? So let's begin with like the clerics, right? Clerics are pretty straightforward. They're all about healing, and they like to get healed. So they get like special effects when they are healed. Like for example, this one gets a +1 counter on it, so he deals more damage and gains more HP. This one gains a protection counter whenever he is healed. They also have like lifelink, so they can help you like get the win condition. Golems is like right now they're like the least developed subtype that I have, but they're basically like all about like high HP status and somehow like benefit out of like having high HP. They're basically like big clunky cards, but they pack in damage for sure. Angels are like they are like more about the unbreakable board play style. They like playing with like barrier counters, which negates any kind of targeting, whether it's effect or attack. They also like to sometimes play protection counters on their cards. Protection counters is like the card, like the counter is removed instead of the card being destroyed. And yeah, like they're all about like being unkillable, so pretty annoying to deal with. And they are pretty slow, but they snowball like crazy, so you want to be careful with them. Automatons are also like not very well developed. They're pretty much about like banking in like paying life points for big effects. Like they overpay for effects, but their effects are usually very strong. And that would be like the light cards. Going on for the water. We have the Djinns. They like to play with mana counters. they basically get more powerful when they have like mana counters, or they can activate powerful effects. They also like to play a lot of artifacts that helps them like boost their their mana counter amounts, right? And where is the leader card? Oh, it's right here. Yeah, the leader card is also an artifact, which is crucial for your Jhin plays, for your Jhin decks. Basically does everything that they need to dominate. They're pretty tricky to kill. They have like they gain protections from a lot of their artifacts. Like this one gives them battle proof. This one increases their HP and damage, and untap them, so they basically get like vigilance, sort of. So yeah, and this one gives itself like skill proof. So they have like some level of protection, like it's quite similar to the light cards. And they do like if they get enough mana counters, they can pack in like, and they can pack a punch. Oh yeah, and this one uses mana counters like protection counters, and she can also like bounce a card with mana counter on it back to your hand to counter a card, which is super powerful. So they really just, they're really all about control playstyle. Then we have like the merfolks, which is one of those like that is currently not very well developed. Like in this first like set of cards, I try to focus more on developing like the elements playstyle rather than developing on the subtypes. So that's why this card, like these merfolks are more about like stacking the cards on top of your deck. This one is actually like under like I'm about to change her effect because like she has like a little like her second effect is wrong because it can just loop it infinitely. Like you can use it as many times as you want, and it's supposed to be like a once per turn. And I actually like overlooked that, but I'm going to fix it soon, so it's whatever. This one is like you basically remove any amount of counters from him, and then you just like stack the top of your deck. So yeah, again, just maximizing on your draws. We also have like the Fae, which are more about like negating effects. This one is basically like a hand trap, like in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a monster trap or whatever. You just like play her, like you discard her and you negate the activation. I think I'm actually going to change her so that it's like you need to have like at least like 1 or 2 water arrows to play this card, or else it's a generic. And that was like not really the intention. This one is more like a one-time negate of sorts. It's like when he's on the field, you can just like you can just like set him, and then you negate the effect of assault. So they're more about like negating cards, countering stuff. But they're like they kind of like put themselves at risk by doing that. Then we have like a changeling. The changeling are also like very controlling. They just like to use like the opponent's cards against them. They have like these effects, like for example, this one is like just basically like temporarily removes a card from your opponent. Like she when she hits the field, she equips one of your opponent's souls to her. But then like when she dies, she gives back the card. But she does have battle proof, so she's pretty annoying to deal with. There's also like this card, which is literally like a stun. She also has battle proof, and she places like 3 stun counters. Like you distribute 3 stun counters, which is basically like the cards get tapped, and if they would get like untapped, you remove a stun counter instead. So it's just like a little lot of like time wasting. So they're mostly like about like disruption and like wasting time basically. Who else are we forgetting? No, that was all. That was all the four. So let's go over to Earth. Earth. We have the elves, which are pretty dope. The elves have this playstyle where they like to they have like this pretty unique playstyle where they like to play a lot of auras, and the more auras you play, the stronger they become. And they also gain benefits when you play auras, right? So they're pretty cool in that sense. And then they have like cards that provide aura, so they become like stronger. They have like really cool playstyle, I think. Very aggressive, very like it's like you just summon spam like a lot of like elves, and they come up like pretty tiny, but then they very quickly grow up in size and they just dominate. Super interesting for sure. They also have the Beastkin. The Beastkin, like in the lore, are more like oh yeah, I think I should also talk a little bit about the lore. So changelings are like basically like slime girls or slime people. The djinns are like similar to aliens, but they're like just very intelligent people, basically, extremely intelligent people. Fays are just magic adept people with wings, and merfolks are just like aqua adept people. Automatons are like they are. Where did I put the automatons? I wonder. Is it here? It is. Automatons are like they're spiritual machines made by the angels. Golems are magical robots, basically. They're magical constructs made by they're fed by magic, right? They're basically just moving elementals. Angels are angels, right? And clerics are clerics, right? So beastkin are like half animal people, basically. Each beastkin is like one animal, and they're like they focus solely on summon spamming cards, as much cards as they can. They're all about the summon spam, and sometimes getting benefit out of the summon spam that they make. So, you know, pretty straightforward, very combo oriented. What else do we have? Druids. Oh no, not druids. Dryads. Dryads are like more about like equipping cards to them. Usually from your aura pool. They gain like a lot of benefits when they have like cards equipped to them. I think I might actually change this card to like have it be equipped with something. I don't know. Feels pretty weird. It feels a little bit out of place. But yeah, like they are mostly like about playing equip cards to them and just going crazy with it. Usually like, you know, going crazy off of like artifact cards, but sometimes they can also equip like souls to them and gain advantages off of that somehow. In fact, I think I will focus more like for the dryads. I think I'm going to focus more on like the equip from souls to them, because I think it makes more sense with like with who they are. Dryads aren't really known for playing with like weapons, but they are like they are like living plants which basically feed on dead corpses, right? So you know there is that. And then there's like the trends, which are more like they basically like they focus more on filling your aura pool, and sometimes getting advantage off of like popping your aura pool or having like a large aura pool. But yeah, like they like to stack your aura pool, and unlike the elves, they will actually like put themselves in the aura pool and gain advantage off of that. So that will do for the earth subtypes. Notice that like everyone has like 4 subtypes, right? That's like intended, so that nobody feels left out. There is like the goblins. The goblins are quite similar to like, you know like these Yu-Gi-Oh cards like Watts or Doom monsters, where they're all about like attacking directly, or like in Magic, like cards that are like unblockable, right? They attack like for small damage, but they hit like a truck. They hit like a freaking truck. I mean, no, sorry. They hit for small damage, but they attack directly. Yeah, that's what I meant. So they do like very small damage, but they always attack directly, and they can like get pretty annoying with it. They can win pretty fast with this like strategy. Like they have like their strategies. I feel like right now they're like probably like among the best fire decks, undisputed. Like they're doing very well, like because they're so like such a simple play style. We also have the other like subtypes are pretty undeveloped, but I guess we can talk about them. We have like the orcs. The orcs are quite similar to automatons, but the automatons are like they like to pay life points, and but while the orcs are like they like to how can I say? In fact, this one is not updated. Let me see if I can, if I have like the updated version of Giant Orc. I do. So they take damage. They burn your own life points, but because they're paying like damage and stuff, they're basically like they basically pay less aura for their effects. So this is pretty cool for like, because like fire doesn't like to have like, fire doesn't have a lot of ways to like set their aura pool, and they don't like to, honestly, they don't really like to have like a big aura pool. They don't like wasting actions for auras. They do have fire up though. Fire, where is it? Here. What else? Oh yeah, they also have the dwarves, which focus a lot on artifacts, right? Spanish, like, yeah. This guy like allows you to like basically pay artifacts from your top deck for free. It's pretty cool effects. So dwarves are pretty neat for that reason. They like fire has like pretty control-y artifacts, so that's interesting for them. Yeah. They also have the reptilians. Reptilians are like, they like to destroy cards, as cost. They're quite similar to orcs, but they have like a different condition. But this is good for fire because some of the fire cards actually benefit of being destroyed. So that's like very useful for them. That's like not a very bad thing, right? Like in Yu-Gi-Oh, they would be similar to cards like Metalfos or like True Kings and stuff like that. And those are like the 4 fires boys. Going on to darkness. Well, I guess I would rather begin with the more like developed ones. Demons have like this unique counter called corruption counter. They like to place those, like they're quite similar to mana counters, where the mana counters don't do anything by themselves. But if you stack enough like mana counters, they can activate special effects. And they usually like to place mana counters on your opponent's cards. So they can have that play style. It takes setup, it's pretty slow, but it's also very snowbally. They have like a lot of effects also that take control, so they can like really use your opponent's board against them, which is the whole point of darkness. They also have like zombies, which are more about graveyard setup and revival. Zombies also like to play a lot of tokens, so they like to swarm the field and deny your opponents of zones. But they're mostly about they're mostly about revival, right? So a good zombie playstyle involves a lot of like milling. I also make like the vampires. In the lore, vampires are basically like the opposite of saints. They are people who sold their souls to demons, but and then they go to hell as like servants and slaves of demons, but they gain like some demonic powers as well. They benefit of being discarded. They have like special effects that only activated when they are discarded. And then there's also like the Nephilims, which have all died and are all in hell. They all live in hell. They are like the offspring of humans and fallen angels, or humans and demons. And they are giants they're giants who quite pack the punch. They're pretty cool for darkness because they are like darkness doesn't hit really hard, and they do. They're like the beat sticks of darkness. They also enjoy banishing. Like they have like a lot of effects that involve banishing, like banishing cards from the graveyard or being banished, and then they activate some kind of special effect. So they're pretty cool for that reason. And I think that's it for darkness. And then we have like 10 multicolors. Each one is like, each one has like its own subtype. With darkness and fire, you get the Fallen. The Fallen likes to be destroyed by card effects, and usually they revive when they are destroyed by card effects. So yeah, they like to just come back from the dead. And yeah. With light and darkness, you get the Symphotos, which are like these ancient robots that rebel against humans who created them. Oops. They have like the special effects that only they have, and also like the it's a kind of a playstyle too, where it's the plated playstyle. Basically, each card attached to them acts as a protection counter. So if they would be destroyed, you remove a plate instead, a card instead. So they're kind of like, it's kind of like they have like 2 lives, 2 extra lives, or 3 extra lives, depending on how much cards they have. It's pretty useful. They're pretty hard to kill. Fire and darkness, or fire and earth, sorry, is like actually, let me just make sure I'm not saying anything wrong. They are kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! Boss monsters. They are big and they have removal effects, which usually it's like it goes either way. Like either the card has removal and is like pretty weak, or the card is like pretty strong, but then it doesn't have like removal. Lava folk are both. They're strong and they have removal, so they're like pretty straightforward and pretty strong for that reason. Pretty deadly for sure. Water and earth are like, they're also pretty strong. They're hard to kill for sure, and they like to negate effects. They like to basically negate your opponent's effects. I think that for the future I could make it so that like they can negate their own effects and kind of like benefit off of that somehow. But right now they're more about like, because like they have like these special counters called mud counters, which they play on your opponent's cards. It makes their attacks weaker by 1 damage and negates their effects. And because it usually doesn't target, right, you have like non-target effect negation, which is super good. Super good against Earth too, because they have like all Earth and Light, because they have like a lot of untargetable cards that are pretty strong to deal with. Earth and Darkness is usually about like milling, and it's like they like to basically gain advantage, like they stack attack points and HP points based on how much cards they have like stacked. They also have like a lot of like revival, because Earth and Darkness love to summon cards, right? So, but they also have like, you know, like, it's like they're kind of like a little bit of everything, but usually it's more about like actually, let me take a look. Let me double check. Yeah, they're kind of like about like a mix between like stealing your opponent's graveyard cards and or stealing opponent's cards and milling a lot and getting advantages off of that, like becoming stronger off of that. So there's that. So like they're big cards that, you know, they're big, and like how can I say? It's pretty hard to say actually. They like to get increasingly stronger. I guess it's basically what it is, where it's at. They like to get big, huge, massive, and this getting big has something to do with like milling or opponent's cards or something like that. They have like an effect, a method to get bigger, right? So they're pretty LTK-ish too. Nuzzlings are all about skill spam. They benefit when you activate a lot of how can I say, skill cards. This one is out of date actually. His effect is completely changed. I think I forgot. Maybe I forgot to save, or maybe there was like a corruption on the save on the cloud, which sometimes this happens. I don't know why tabletop has such trouble saving changes. It's quite annoying actually. This is the updated card. Once per turn, flip a target soul, and then if you activate a skill card, burn target by X, where X is equal to the amount of hours required for that skill card. So, again, they like to spam skill cards. They have like this card that I like a lot. It's very unique. When you activate this card, you copy the next skill cards you play for the rest of this turn. One cool thing you can do with it is like you can play this with full speed ahead, so that like you play one and then you play like a second one, so you gain like 3 actions instead of 1, and then you can like just like play this and then it will get copied too, so then you can like draw 4 cards and just keep playing like more skill cards and just go crazy. Right, it's pretty fun playstyle. Like with lights and fire, you get like a bit of a mixture between automatons and orcs. So you have like cards that are like, they take damage, but they take advantage off of taking damage. So yeah. With light and earth, you get like very big boys, like very hard souls with a lot of HP that have just a lot of protection, to say the least. They have like crazy amounts of protections, and they are nearly impossible to kill. Like they're basically like win conditions of their own. So they're pretty scary. They're also very stalling. We have a mixture between light and water. You get basically very hard, like very protective control cards. Like they also like to focus a lot on like zonings, right? Placement of the cards and stuff like that. They're kind of like link cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! In that sense. So pretty annoying for sure. Like they're super annoying to deal with. And finally, with Water and Darkness, the Abyssals, you get like cards that like to excavate. So they like to rearrange the top of the deck and mill a little bit of those cards. And sometimes they get advantages off of that. And yeah, that will do for this video. Like that's pretty much all of the subtypes and their playstyles. So like the subtypes, they act as like archetypes. And yeah, like the reason why I did like subtypes like this is to have like basically like set like Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetypes, because like Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetypes are quite like they're like a little bit annoying for people, because like for example for me, right, I like Light Sworns. Light Sworns is my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetype, and it's like they, you know, sometimes they don't get support and they become unplayable, and sometimes they get like support and they become top of the meta, which is when I like Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically, because I can play my favorite archetype. And sure, I have like my secondary archetype. I like Watts and Batterymans. They're fun. And the Hunter family too are pretty cool. But so I guess like Thunder monsters in general. But yeah, like, you know, Light Sworns don't get a lot of support. They very rarely get support, and sometimes when they do, the support is basically useless. And this is what it is like for most players, right? It's like, oh, my favorite deck, my favorite archetype has been power creeped out of the meta, so now I can't play it anymore, and that just sucks, you know, because then they become to play like they have to play like a less fun version of their favorite game. And Cardfight Vanguard actually tried to fix that by also making like set archetypes, but I feel like they made too much archetypes, in my opinion. Because every time they make like a new season of this show, they make like a new archetype to make people hyped, but then that just like makes things even worse, right? So my fix for this is that like there is like a color pie, an element pie in my game that, like, you know, it will always have its own like set playstyle, and inside these color pies there will be like 4 subtypes which work as Yu-Gi-Oh archetypes, and they will constantly be receiving a new support, even if the new support is just 1 card, you know. And you know, like sometimes just 1 card is all you need. Sometimes 10 cards is not good enough. Like 10 cards, but then the 10 cards are not good at all. Right? So I feel like by making this method, I can very consistently make it so that, like, you know, the reptilian players will be happy and the vampire players will also be happy, you know. So yeah, this is Purgai's subtypes and element color pie all in one video. So thank you for watching. I'll be showing like more videos. Also, I'm trying to get like people to more playtest like showcase for you guys to see, because you guys are kind of enjoying that from what I'm seeing. And yeah, like just play the game. I put it all on untap.in. I will probably put a video on the description, on the commentary, on how you can play this game for free with your friends on untap.in. No subscription needed, no nothing. I think you just need to make like an Untap account, and that's it. So yeah, like thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.